The man's a moron. The fattest Oompa Loompa in the chocolate factory doesn't have his game together. Using that deal to get what he wants, and instead of directly supporting his country as much as he should, it's just not cool.
Of course, Simon, as we said a little earlier, there is no imminent ceasefire or peace at the moment, so all of this is kind of like theoretical. Is there a danger here of too much focus in general of what foreign troops might or can do, and too little on just building up Ukraine's armed forces?
100%. Yeah, the main effort should still be lying with training and arming the Ukrainians in Ukraine, I believe. Britain and other countries have done fantastic work outside. So Operation Interflex, and within Interflex, you've got Scorpius back in the UK. 25,000 Ukrainians trained between 2015 and the start of the main invasion. 50 to 60,000 trained by Britain and allies in Britain since about July 2022. Fantastic efforts. Very expensive, and also uses up a lot of land that we should be using to train back home. So all of that, I think, needs to be coming to Ukraine. There's a lot of Brits here. Everyone knows this. There's a lot of Brits here, far more than any other country, doing some fantastic work advising Ukrainians on how to improve their armed forces. Ukrainians love advice when it comes with money and equipment. So they'll say thank you, and they'll listen to you, and they'll nod, and they'll be grateful, and they will listen, and they will be grateful, and they will soak up a lot of the advice. But the main effort but the reason they're doing that is because they know what comes with that is financial and military support. If you don't have combat experience in this country, then teaching people in this country, either in it or outside it, back in the UK on Interflex, how to clear a trench, it's a bit cheeky, for want of a better phrase. The Ukrainians are grateful and they'll bite their lip. But I know from top to bottom, from general down to private soldier, and I know a lot in that bracket, they think it's a bit of a joke that people back in the UK are telling them how to fight a war when these guys have never fired a shot in anger in most cases. We need to move the training to this country, and we need to use foreign volunteers with the combat experience in this country and Ukrainian veterans to deliver the training. It's a no-brainer.
It's a very interesting concept. And just on another point, as we await any agreement on the latest proposed minerals deal by the US to Ukraine, take into consideration your experience in supporting businesses in Ukraine, what is good foreign investment for Ukraine and what is bad?
Maybe I misunderstood the question really, but bad investment is just handing money over and letting them get on with it. I think we need to bring and a lot of companies in the West are still keeping Ukraine at arm's length. So I set up my company to support foreign organisations, mainly British, in their efforts to support Ukraine, to get on with rebuilding this country and to support the Ukrainians before the shooting stopped, which I knew 2 years ago was going to be a long time away. I'm still not convinced it's going to be anytime soon. So I think what a lot of companies are still doing is that they're using in-country partners, and that's a way of de-risking against all the historic issues this country has had. I understand that, but companies need to deploy forward. Okay, they need to get their own, well, not boots on the ground, their own churches on the ground, or whatever shoes they're wearing these days. They need to get their shoes on the ground and get dirty themselves, and not just employ Ukrainian companies to do it. They need to come over here, show presence, fly their own company colours, and directly support them in Ukraine instead of just using partners, etc. I think that's the way forward.
And what do you think when Donald Trump sort of uses the mineral deal and dangles it as a carrot, as being in some way improving security and offering security guarantees by default to Ukraine?
You're going to have to bleep this out. I mean, to quote General Mattis, very experienced 4-star US Marine Corps general, the man's a moron. The fattest Oompa Loompa in the chocolate factory doesn't have his game together. Using that deal to get what he wants, and instead of directly supporting his country as much as he should, it's just not cool. It's not good behaviour. He's doing the same thing in other places. He chucks these threats around. He's a narcissist. He loves the attention. I mean, I'm convinced that there's a lot of good things in that man that he can still do. He's got a lot of good intentions, and he can do a lot of good things. But saying what he says about Greenland, saying what he says about Mexico, not Mexico, but Canada, and saying what he says about this mineral deal, it's it's almost like some sort of gangster territory. It's almost like some sort of protection racket, really, except without the protection. So it's not favourable. It's talking. He's talking about Ukrainians like they're not in the room, and I'm afraid to say they're not in the room when it comes to him. So that mineral deal is just it's just a joke. I mean, you can probably tell from my frustration here. And I'm a foreigner. You can imagine what these people think about this thing. I mean, sometimes I think Zelensky should just do a deal with the Europeans and then tell Mr. Trump to foxtrot Oscar.
Interestingly, Vladimir Putin has ordered the largest conscription drive in years to recruit 160,000 men between the ages of 18 and 30 by the 15th of July. That's up from 150,000 last year. This isn't a country preparing for peace, is it?
It's not. But I mean, judging by the Russian performance on the battlefield and the way Ukrainians deal with them, that's going to have one major effect, and that's going to be on the Graves Registration Department and the Russian MOD. All he's doing is providing more figure 11 targets for the Ukrainians to drop. The Ukrainians will just stack them up almost as quickly as they have done before, as long as they get the ammunition. But as far as an actual effect on the battlefield is concerned, as long as we keep getting the bullets and bombs to these people, and it is a lot better now than it has been in the past, then it's not going to have a massive effect. Now, the guys on the front line will probably have a different opinion. I'm sat here in Kyiv in a nice, comfy room, but as far as the tactical ability of the Russians are concerned, it's just going to be more targets to drop. I really can't see the Russians being able to push forward anywhere. The Ukrainians will fight tooth and nail, as they have done throughout this conflict, to protect their land. And the Russians are going to have a pretty hard job, even with increased numbers and moving forward.
And if you take a step back right now, Simon, at this moment, how confident are you that the country where you set up your business, where you live, has a future as a sovereign nation?
100% confident. There's absolutely no way Russia is going to defeat Ukraine. Not a chance in hell. I'm not convinced that Ukraine is going to get all the land back unless they retrain their army. So not retrain it, if they increase the training, increase the mobilization, and if they get more military support from us. But there's absolutely not a snowball's chance in hell that Ukraine is going to lose, as in the classic sense, against Russia. Russia they're just not up to the job. This is not the big scary army that we've been trained to fight since the early 50s. They're a shadow of their former self. They got nukes. That's a bad thing. Their navy's a joke. They've got a few. Their destroyers. Their new destroyers are basically frigates. Their new frigates are basically corvettes. They're allegedly planning to launch an aircraft carrier at some point in the future. They're relaunching the so-called battle cruiser of the Kirov class. It's been in dock for 30 years. And they're kitting it out allegedly to fire hypersonic missiles. Not very hypersonic in most cases. So this is the sort of stuff that the Russians are doing now. They're running out of tanks. They send their troops forward, on golf buggies, in cars, on motorbikes, on foot, and they just get attritted left, right, and Chelsea by the locals. I don't think the Russians got a chance of taking over this country.
Simon Woodiwiss, great to speak to you. Thank you for your time.
And thank you. Slava Ukraini.
You've been watching Frontline for Times Radio with me, Kate Chabot. If you'd like to be the first to get exclusive content, you can sign up for membership with the link below. You can also listen to Times Radio for the latest news or read it on thetimes.com. My thanks to our producer today, Louis Sykes, and to you for watching. Bye for now.